What if I told you that you, your eyes reading this, your breath, your very atoms, were forged in a single second so cataclysmic, so exquisitely tuned, that the slightest hiccup would have erased existence forever? Rewind 13.8 billion years. There is no before, no space, no time, no up, down, left, or right. Just a singularity, smaller than the period at the end of this sentence, infinitely dense, infinitely hot, containing everything that would ever be. Then, at T0, it began. Not an explosion in space. Space itself was born, stretching, screaming, unfolding from nothing into something. At 10 to 43 seconds, the Planck epoch, the smallest sliver of time physics can describe, temperature blazed at 1032 degrees. Here, all four fundamental forces were one: gravity, electromagnetism, strong and weak nuclear forces fused in a superforce. Then, crack. Gravity separated first, like the universe's opening heartbeat, establishing the rule that would one day keep your feet on the ground. By 1036 seconds, the strong nuclear force peeled away, and with it came cosmic inflation, the most violent growth spurt in history. In just 1032 seconds, the observable universe ballooned from smaller than a proton to the size of a grapefruit, expanding faster than light, not breaking relativity but creating the space it expanded into. This wasn't motion, it was geometry being born. Inflation smoothed wrinkles, flattened curvature, and seeded tiny quantum fluctuations that would later become galaxy clusters. Your Milky Way AOS origin story etched in a billionth of a second. Inflation ended as suddenly as it began, dumping its energy into a reheated plasma soup hotter than the core of a supernova. Quarks, gluons, electrons, positrons, neutrinos, and photons churned in a perfect frictionless fluid at 1027 degrees Celsius. No atoms, no molecules, just fundamental particles in a glowing, opaque fog. At 10 to 12 seconds, the electroweak force split. Electromagnetism and the weak force went their separate ways, setting the stage for radioactivity and fusion. By 10 and 6 seconds, 1/millionth of a second, the universe had cooled to only 1013 degrees Celsius. Quarks, no longer able to roam freely, began to stick. 3 quarks snapped together to form protons. 2 quarks and 1 antiquark formed neutrons. This was baryogenesis, the birth of matter as we know it. But antimatter was everywhere, mirroring every particle. Electrons met positrons, protons met antiprotons, annihilating in bursts of pure energy. Yet, for reasons we still chase in particle colliders, there was a tiny imbalance. For every billion antimatter particles, there were 1,000,000,001 matter particles. That one survived. That one became you. At the 1-second mark, the universe was the size of our solar system, roaring at 10 billion degrees. Neutrinos, ghostly particles that barely interact with anything, decoupled, freezing their temperature and speeding away at nearly light speed. We still detect their faint glow today in underground tanks in Japan and Antarctica. Protons and neutrons floated in a sea of radiation, too hot to fuse. Electrons zipped around, keeping the soup charged and opaque. Photons couldn't travel more than a centimeter before scattering. The universe glowed brilliantly but was completely dark to itself, like a star trapped inside its own atmosphere. 3 minutes later, Big Bang nucleosynthesis began. Protons and neutrons fused into deuterium, then helium, and trace amounts of lithium. But 99.99999% of the universe remained hydrogen, fuel for the first stars. The cosmic recipe was set: 75% hydrogen, 24% helium, 1% everything else. Change those ratios by a fraction, and chemistry fails. No carbon, no water, no life. This darkness, this glowing blindness, lasted 380,000 years. Only when the temperature dropped to 3,000 did electrons finally settle into orbits around nuclei, forming the first neutral atoms. Suddenly, photons were free. Light streamed across the cosmos for the first time, cooling over billions of years into the 2.7K microwave hum we now map with satellites like Planck and WMAP. That light is the cosmic microwave background, the oldest image in existence. A baby photo of the universe at 380,000 years old, still washing over your skin right now. Invisible, but real. Every galaxy, every black hole, every thought in your mind traces its lineage to that first second. The separation of forces, the violence of inflation, the survival of matter, the freezing of neutrinos, the delay of light. Weaken the strong force by 1%. No stable nuclei. Skip inflation. No large-scale structure. Equal matter and antimatter. Total annihilation. Instead, perfection. Instead, you. You are not just stardust. You are Big Bang dust, the cooled ember of creation's first scream, the living proof that 1 second, balanced on the edge of eternity, chose everything over nothing. Little historian, where 1 second didn't just start the universe, it started you.